All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, fellow Pandemonium travelers, this is Seattle Pandemonium Shutdown, day 366 by my count. And yeah, things are going along, I suppose. If it's really been a year, again, that doesn't feel like a factual statement. You say it's been a year of pandemicking, and it doesn't look like Washington State, anyway, is really headed towards any real substantive change anytime soon, because our governor doesn't want to have any negative association with COVID and all that stuff. So we're just going to stay locked down until everybody's vaccinated. And even then, maybe longer than that. So, this mass state-enforced lockdown will continue for some time. That being said, what's going on? What's going down? I don't know. Everybody... Nope, I'm not going to talk about them. I'm not going to do it. Let's talk about... well, I'll talk. You listen. Let's talk about Jen Psaki for a second. Now, this woman landed herself in this position of being the White House press secretary. And this is a further demonstration of... I don't know exactly how to put it, because I don't just want to, say the cathedral or the mainstream media. It's at the very least, specifically the White House PressCorp, but maybe that's just because of the nature of the position and it being, directly related to the president and stuff. Have we learned yet, how this works? They did this under Trump. They did this with Sean Spicer, if you remember him, from 500 years ago. Kayla McEnany. News Barbie. Anyways, the press do not exist to inform you so that you're an empowered, informed citizen in a representative republic. That's not their job. Their job is seemingly mostly to disinform everybody so that we can get legislation that addresses the thing that they made everyone believe. And if that sounds like an exaggeration, I would implore you to Google what was her name? I can't remember. Gulf War incubators, and crack open that whole episode. They ask loaded questions. The loaded questions are meant to get some kind of reaction that then gets turned into basically viral clips and headlines, in order to drive ratings. So our fourth estate doesn't exist. I don't know if it necessarily exists to disinform everybody. It just doesn't matter if you are informed or not. Because they're designed to drive ratings, to get eyeballs, in order to sell razors and rascal scooters and life insurance and pharmaceuticals and such. I mean, and stair elevators and my pillows and all this. So what we watch is essentially Kabuki Theater every day, where nonsense questions get asked, and the expectation is essentially a nonsense answer. And then we consider this transparency with the, at least in this instance, the executive branch. And I'm not necessarily saying it was much better under Trump, but at least they had energetic questions. And like Kayla McEnany, she would kind of trounce on the media and dunk on them. It was kind of funny, right? And so the White House press secretary's job is to go out there and lie for the president. That's what they do. So if you think that Psaki is telling the truth, but Trump's people always lied, well, then you're just being childish. Increasingly, based on what I've seen, increasingly wonder about the representativeness of our representative republic. Because these people don't often come from the same social classes as any normal American. They all attend elite schools. They all spend their entire careers in, like, cushy civic jobs and things, where they live off the public dollar. Many of them never have any experience with the free market, other than the sort of revolving door of like lobbyists and whatnot, which again is basically the same thing. So your fears, hopes, wishes, concerns are not in alignment with theirs, and then you watch the government, especially the federal government, kind of go do all this wacky stuff all around the world, waste all our money. Now we're going to start targeting Americans who have posted Gadsden flags on the internet, and they're going to be singled out as domestic terrorists. Put a pin in that. I hope I'm wrong. Not to go full Alex Jones here, but it is. I mean, do you feel represented? Clearly, people didn't feel represented by the Trump administration, but the Trump voters certainly didn't want to be, or didn't feel that they would be represented by Hillary Clinton. So, what we're going to do, apparently, is keep building a bigger and bigger regulatory state that has more and more, like, especially executive power to do whatever they want at any given moment, as well as enforce our global military empire, in part in order to prop up the dollar. Now, I say that, and I'm only... Oh, no, you're cooking. Oh, there you go. Get a permanent Dutch angle going on. I know how that sounds. It sounds like, like what? How does it prop up the dollar for us to spend money overseas? Well, some of the money comes back to us in the form of investments and all this stuff. But also, there's this frightening concept. I'm not quite sure I have my mind wrapped completely around it, but let me try it out. It's what's called a sink. Now, how this applies to the US dollar, I assume petrodollar, and our global empire, is that if you buy a whole bunch of hard assets, bombs and tanks and jets and missiles and, guns and body armor and all this stuff, and then you take it somewhere like the Middle East where you blow it all up, well, you've now removed value from the economy, which stabilizes the inflation that would occur from the dollar, because the spending power is propped up by all the stuff that you exploded. It's something like that. And then if we just leave it there, which is usually what happens, right? You ever see that movie Lord of War? There were so many like AR-15 or M16s left over somewhere that they were buying them by the pound. They would just pile them up and do it by weight instead of by individual weapon. Now that's a movie and it's sort of based on a real guy, but I'd believe that's true. We just leave stuff behind. It's not cost effective to ship it back here and then mothball it or whatever. It'll just sit out in some desert, boneyard and just rust. So why bring it back? Just leave it there. I think the Soviets did the same thing with You know, that's why there's AK-47s cost like $100 or whatever in Afghanistan. Whereas if you had one here with all our tax stamps and whatnot, it's like several $1,000s if you can even find one. But they're just all over the place, and that's why we're fighting the Taliban, who have like old commie, you know, artillery and all this stuff. Anyways, so yeah, I don't know. I might have botched that description of what a sink is, but what that means, if that's an accurate, if that's a functional part of our of the value of the dollar, then that means we necessarily must continue bombing things, whether it's a good idea, whether it's necessary, whether it's effective to winning some kind of conflict or not. Because that's not the point. The point is that we've always been at war with East Asia, I guess. I mean, I guess the media is just going to constantly come up with new reasons as to why we need to bomb here or there or everywhere. And I know how that sounds when I say that. It's like Alex Jones, like conspiracy stuff. But what have we been seeing over the last 20 years? I mean, I get you 9/11. Okay. Bin Laden was in Afghanistan, so we go into Afghanistan. Then they invented a connection to Iraq. And we went to Iraq, we didn't find the weapons of mass destruction. And then it turned into the Arab Spring, where we then essentially helped fight a bunch of proxy wars all across the Middle East and North Africa, which collapsed, you know, like Syria, collapsed Libya. And now people are fleeing in droves into Europe, and it's going to crush their economy soon. Yeah. Is that not what we've been seeing? Is a perpetual state of war and paranoia that leads us to keep bombing things? Expensive bombs? I don't know. That's what I'm seeing. They're putting chemicals in the water, all right? They're turning the freaking frogs gay. That's why they called Obama, right? Man, we're just so in it, man. And we don't really, I don't see any obvious, there's no hint that we're just going to turn this thing around anytime soon, you know, like, it's not clear that we're gonna get these kind of major societal advances that I think we kind of thought we would have. Never mind flying cars, like our healthcare, you know, our colleges, moon bases, and all that stuff. We're too busy down here. Get in the lane that you're trying to change into. Jeez. All right, that's enough rambling from me for a Tuesday. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.